effective legislative engagement trainings. So at different levels, national and local level or district level, or where in Kenya I've learned that they call them what? Counties, I think they're called counties. For us, they are districts there. So most of these elected women leaders do not have the capacity and the skills to do to carry out their oversight and representative role. For us in Uganda, the council business is so technical, and most of these councillors do not have that technical capacity. So what we do is to train them in these technical skills. As a councillor, how would you scrutinize these district budgets to ensure that gender or women issues are there? As a councillor, how do you engage in the budget process? At what level are you supposed to come in to push in to bring women's issues? And also, as a councillor, how do you do the oversight role? Because most of these councillors do not know that they are supposed to monitor the technical people. So we do this in these trainings. Then when we go to the members of parliament, we make sure that we support them to engage, to do engagements in the different budget processes. Most parliamentarians, what we have noticed, or from the studies that we do, they forget to participate in a very crucial process where there are different committees that they sit on. They are supposed to do the debating there, not in parliament. So most of them skip these committee meetings, and this is where decisions are made. This is where discussions go on. So we take them through that training and how they can engage. We do mentorship and coaching. Of course, we know that we believe that most of these women need continuous mentorship. They need a woman a woman who has been there, a woman who has this experience. So we bring these women on board to mentor, to coach these fellow young leaders, and to give them the skills, to give them the knowledge, to share with them the different techniques that can help them during their leadership journeys. We do training of women groups. Women groups, these are usually at local levels. Currently in AWESOME, we boast of 44 women groups, but as FOWODE, we have very many women groups in different projects. So with these women groups, you know, these are local women leaders who do not understand these things of gender, women leadership. It is new to them. So as we train them, we introduce them to these new terminologies of gender, women leadership. How can they participate in their different spaces at community level? And we are happy to note that the different women groups that we have trained, women have gone ahead to take up the leadership positions, even in their associations, even in churches, even in local gatherings or local associations, because we believe that leadership can also be done there, not only political. While we wait for the 2006 elections, 16 elections, 26 elections, they also participate in this. Movement building. So FOWODE, we believe in the power of numbers. And so because of this, we ensure that we facilitate formation of district women caucuses at local level to ensure that women can push for their issues unified, but also in numbers. So with district caucuses, for example, in AWESOME, we've registered very good results in the districts where we operate. We facilitated formation of the district caucuses, and these caucuses were able to move motions on SGBV, motions on women leadership. We've had very good recommendations, and later they have been implemented through these district women caucuses. But we also support the existing ones, the WOPA, Uganda Women Parliamentary Association. We support them in different engagements, but also on how to engage, to push for women issues, to stand firm as WOPA, regardless of the party you belong to, regardless of the party you subscribe to. If it comes to women issues, we emphasize it should be a unified voice as WOPA. And then we also do work with women's groups at grassroots level. I have talked about it. We continue carrying out this movement building at grassroots level. And from the grassroots level, this is where the issues at community level feed into the WOPA or the different district caucuses. So there is a way we pick out issues from the grassroots, and then the community, we task the community to feed into the district caucuses, and whichever issues cannot be tackled at district level, given the budgets, then we push them to the parliamentary level. We also embark on solidarity forums. These are spaces where we convene women to continue energizing themselves about pushing for women issues, women gender issues, and in these spaces we also strategize. First of all, we assess how far have we moved, where have we failed, what are we not doing right? So we strategize on the different ways to push forward as we move the women's agenda, as we advocate for increased numbers of women in leadership. Yeah, and in these solidarity forums, these are the spaces where we invite powerful women like the Martha, the Winnie Byanyimaz, the Iron Ladies in Uganda. We also have our Iron Lady in Uganda, Matembe, and many more. Male engagement. FOWODE works with male champions to raise men's awareness on gender with a view of bringing about a paradigm shift from negative to positive masculinity. And this is basically done because we would like to create an enabling environment for the women, for our women to participate in leadership. For us, we've had very many stories of women in communities, especially because that's where patriarchy is deeply rooted. Their men, their husbands refuse them from participating in leadership, and their relationships or marriages or families get broken. So we decided to embark on engaging the women, the men, let them understand that participating in leadership is not a crime. We are just empowering the woman, but we are not against you being the leader in your family. So in most of the communities where we have done this for like more than 2 years, we have had a shift in the mindsets of these men, and we've had very many testimonies of men supporting now their women to participate in leadership, or even go in meetings. Some men go as far as refusing women to come and even convene in meetings. Research and studies. This is something that, this is a strategy that FOWODE greatly embarks on. You know the advocacy work that we are doing in gender-based violence, the work we are doing for women leadership, it has to be done from an informed point of view. And what we do is to embark on studies. We have so far conducted very many studies, but I just pointed out a few that are relevant to this space. We have done a budgeting for peace study, budget tracking study. So in these studies, for example, the budgeting for peace study, we were trying to analyze what are the funding trends and programs within the government of Uganda, and what can we do. So in this study, we identified gaps, but we also suggested alternative proposals on how government can fund SGBV programs. Then the budget tracking study. This is a study that we did in our districts of operation where AWESOME is done, but also national level, to look at how much government is budgeting for gender and based violence issues, but also women issues. And after this study was done, the reason as to why we do this is for us to equip us with the information, the real data, the statistics that we need, so that we advocate from an informed point of view. And what we did was to ensure that all the different people who work with the leaders at different levels, women leaders, we fed them with these statistics at hand, so that when they went in the spaces, when they go to the spaces to engage, they have this data which is based, which is evidenced. So we do evidence-based advocacy to support these women. Post-election documentation, yes, after, like I told you, we support women, we do pre-trainings for the women aspirants, and after that we also do the post-election documentation to see how have our women participated, how are the women that we supported participated, and to see how the election variance, what are the SGBV rates or occurrences during elections. We also do gender reviews of government empowerment initiatives. Of course, Uganda has a number of gender empowerment initiatives like UWEP, like the livelihood programs, but you know, whatever is on paper sometimes is different from what is implemented. So for us, what we do is to do a gender review of the different programs, and then we present the reports in the different committees that we feel that are relevant to discuss these reports. And after that, we also, during those presentations, we do come up with alternative recommendations or proposals on how to improve these government empowerment programs. Reality checks. Yes, we embark on empowering women to take up leadership positions. And yes, we have very many. But we have to do a reality check. Where are these women and how are they performing in these spaces? It is one thing to be a woman leader, but it's also a different thing to actually do what you're supposed to do while in that position as a woman leader. So we do a reality check with all our women who are in the political spaces, but also in the civil service spaces. Media campaigns in mainstream and social media. Yes, we embark on a number of media campaigns where we rally the communities, where we rally people to support women in leadership, but also to speak against any gender-based violence that are subjected to women, to speak against leaders to speak against injustices to our women in leadership. Like I told you, we larried citizens to support Kadag when she was running for the speakership race. And when she was beat, still we carried the momentum until government at least appointed her for another position. And guess what? She's doing so well in that position. Actually, East African position in Uganda wasn't so a big deal. Being a minister of East Africa, like it wasn't so much a big deal until when Kadag took up that position. I think she's so empowered. She knows what to do wherever she goes. And the speakership position is now just there. So yeah, we've not lost all the same. Economic empowerment is another strategy that we do. We believe that women need, although we want women to participate in leadership, especially political leadership, and Uganda, the context is, it is highly monetized from local level up to national level. So these women that want to participate in leadership, we have to make sure that they have the money, they have the resources, they have the finances to support them in campaigns, to support them to do different campaigning activities. So we embarked on a women economic empowerment project or program where we support our women. First of all, we skill them. We do skilling in their different enterprises that they choose. Actually, we skill them in 3 of their choice, and afterwards they will choose out of the 3 which one they think they can do and get profits. And then after that, we give them seed capital. Seed capital so that this business, they start the business now on a larger scale, but also to also grow those businesses that they already have. And we believe that with this, women now have money to support them, first of all, in their livelihood, but also to support them in their different leadership aspirations. This has been done for the past 2 years, and I believe that by the last 2 years to the campaigns or to the elections, our women, especially at grassroots level, will have the money to stand for some leadership positions that they were not able to do so because of nomination fees that they couldn't afford. Civic education, these are mass awareness campaigns that are done, especially at community level, to raise civic consciousness, to sensitize communities or build their awareness on their civic rights and responsibilities. This we always do and we continue doing so that we get a citizenry that is active and also empowered to demand for accountability, to demand for good service delivery, and to demand for gender responsive service delivery. Strategic engagements. Strategic engagements, this we do at different levels. At district level, we hold strategic meetings where we convene our community people with the leaders, specifically to engage them on service delivery issues, for example, gender issues or women issues. So these strategic engagements come after we have done all the advocacy, all the lobbying, and we feel like some of the issues that we have advocated for have hit a dead end. So now we come in with strategic engagements. We find out who should we engage on to have this issue make it to budget. Even if it's at Parliament, we look out for those key leaders that we think we can engage, and then we engage them on whatever issues that we need to see in the district budget, especially SGBV issues and funding for women leaders. Yes. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for the wonderful presentation. And my question was around the reality checks that you did for women in politics. I would like to hear what kind of tools were in there. It's just a new word for me even. How do you do it? And would you be sharing with us just one or two findings, what comes out of this? Thank you.
So the reality, thank you, Sarah. That was a very powerful presentation, yeah? Another round of applause for Sarah. Team Uganda. Okay, so the reality check and the beauty with all the studies, all the research work that FOWODE does can be found online. Please kindly visit our website, FOWODE.org. All our documentations are actually there. So the reality check wasn't just for the women in politics. We also did studies or fact-checking to find out where the women were in public service. And so we were looking at ministries, we were looking at government departments and agencies. And we found there's a deputy syndrome. I don't know whether that is also the same in Ethiopia and Kenya. There's a deputy syndrome in Uganda, where usually the boss of any agency is going to be a man and the deputy is a woman. So we found that in the higher leadership roles, actual cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries, high-end commissioners in these spaces were all men, mostly men. And then the assistants, deputies were also mostly men. The technocrats, the people who do M&E work, I mean these spaces are supposed to be filled by the Christabellas of Uganda, but we found that they were mostly also filled by men. Then we found a high concentration of women at front desk, the front desk work, the tea assistants. Actually, in some spaces, the highest number of cleaners, again, were men. So men are so shrewd that they are taking up even the work that has always been considered to be a gender role for the women. So if you go to high-end kitchens in the world, they are run by men, not women. The chief chefs in high-end restaurants are men again. So we are beginning to wonder where the women are. Yeah, so those were our findings, that the high-end positions were filled by men, and then the deputies, the low-end, the assistants, the secretaries, yeah, were mostly women. So those studies, yes, that's our website. We keep updating the reality check. So we have done 2 editions so far, and very soon we should be doing a 3rd edition to see, because the reason as why we keep updating and doing different editions is to see the trend and whether we are, you know, going backwards or moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah, for that presentation. My question is on your slide number 1, where you talked about number. Do you ever disaggregate the numbers by disability to show that how many women with disabilities you are reaching, or they just fall within women?
Sure, we do. With all our activities that we do and reporting, we disaggregate data in terms of men, women, youth, also people with disabilities, men and women.
Okay.
Any other questions for Sarah?
It's a bit of a follow-up on the one that Fikirte asked, which was what I wanted to ask. So you said there was some post-election engagement, like training, and then some post-election documentation. So my question is, are there any like accountability tools or accountability processes in place for when you are doing this post-election documentation, if the women that you have supported to be in the seats are not, let's say, performing as you would have hoped following the training? Are there any accountability processes in place for that? You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
So the accountability process, I would say, like it's not well laid out, but over time, we invite these women to check how they are doing, how they are performing, but we also take note of how they are performing. We usually access what they call that parliamentary book, what is it called? I've forgotten its name, but we do check it quite to see how they are participating, but also follow up in most of the debates, yes. And we call them to order.
Some of them have, it's usually the most recently trained ones that are easier to follow up with, especially the new entrants, because they've not yet been, should I call it indoctrinated, or they've not yet been corrupted, I don't know the right word. So it is easier to follow up with the newer ones, and you know, even by WhatsApp we check in and you're like, the marriage bill is making these rounds and there is this clause. I think this is your opportunity to step up and do this. So we also keep supporting them with data. We support them with organizing some of their, okay, I don't want to call it thoughts, but they still reach out even for support. You know, there's this debate happening in Parliament, but I do not have the figures to, you know, to debate this and this, and then we just put together something for them to move. However, some of them have grown too big for FOWODE. It is very hard, so please don't record this. So the Prime Minister of Uganda is actually a product of FOWODE. the women that you push to these spaces, because we are finding it really challenging. And Maureen, you're going to be seeing the way we will be reporting on our engagement with leaders at national level. Oh my, it's really, really tough. Yeah. Maybe Sarah, if you have something to add. As the lawyers say, I have nothing useful to add.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, FOWODE. A big clap to you. I will invite Siiqqee, who will be presenting on behalf of UDNA.
Okay. I will be presenting those strategies that are actually in use as part of AWESOME program to enhance women's leadership and participation. And the first one is nurturing young advocates. We work at 2 universities, at Addis Ababa and Hausa University. We work with both the gender club as well as the disability club. So we start as bringing cross movement among themselves, so that the gender club can talk about and represent the disability issue and vice versa. And also we'd like to influence the agendas that we would like to influence those agendas that they promote. Usually they promote about GBV and leadership issues within the university, but we would like also to promote about women's participation and leadership, and they start to make changes like by giving spaces for women to lead their clubs and their units. And the other thing is building the capacity of young women with disability aspirants. Like we start from a low base, bringing women as, our target is to bring women as voters, not to assume power, rather to start from the 0 level, because the environment for women with disabilities to come as voters is very harsh, like access to information, the physical barrier, the attitude that my voice doesn't matter is usually their position. So changing all that is part of our work, and we are also influencing the common platforms that we had. We have a common platform to bring our members together. That is the coffee session. And usually our coffee sessions were highly dominated by economic and social issues. Like whenever they meet, they talk about the challenges they face in their marriage, in the transport system, the education, and the economic issues. But progressively, we are changing those agendas, those discussions to be political participation. Like unless and otherwise, women tries to occupy spaces. Those important decisions are made by others who understand them, yeah? So we need, they have to be there to make their voices heard and to make decisions that matter in their life. So rather than always complaining about social, economic issues, they have to be on the table to make decisions. So this kind of agendas are kind of dominating our coffee discussions. Our coffee discussions happens twice a month in Addis and once a month in all other 8 project sites, and on average 114 members will attend regularly. So we are changing the discussions. The other thing is working with elected women, and it's just to influence the policy and the legal frameworks in favor of gender and disability issues. And also as you have been learning through this learning event, that the quota system is not in place. So that's one of the issues that we advocate. And also disability representation, inclusiveness is not also there. So these are the issues we had with women in politics. And also we use media intensively, the radio programs, the local FM radios, and also we organize TV talk shows. So we try to invite the National Election Board of Ethiopia, the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, the parliamentarians, so that they can they can see how the space is so harsh for women with disabilities to come to the space, and also they can take their responsibility to have a takeaway message on how they can play their role in enhancing the participation, representation, and also institutionalization of women's participation. And in the process, using the radio programs, we produce stories of women with disabilities who tries to go to the polling stations, who try to involve in political parties, and who have been kicked out, okay, who have been facing so many challenges. So we try to share those lived realities using our radio programs. And the other is we work intensively with political parties, and it's just to promote the institutionalization of women's participation. Like, they need to have a mention, like the quota system, that how many of women should be in the leadership position, to develop a code of conduct so that a safe space is created for women, an enabling environment is created for women, and as well as for women with disabilities. And also to have a women's agenda which is famous and real. Like, as we have been saying today, usually they will always have a women's issue as part of their party program, but that is usually for just requirement purpose, to tick some of the requirements. But we want their women's agenda, their party program, to be very famous. Like, if we identify some political parties, we may know for their we may perfectly identify their political objectives, kind of that, but their agenda, their party program for women is not that much famous because they don't do it for real, okay? And also we work with political parties so that they have a disability lens in popularizing their party program. They have media coverage in the TV, in the national television program, but it might not be accompanied by sign language interpreters. They might not say anything about women also, or their party engagement, their popularization, their campaign might not be inclusive enough, and they might not reach the persons with disabilities in their popularization program. And also we have joint advocacy with women rights organizations through our network called NEWA, the Network of Ethiopian Women's Association, EWLA, the Ethiopian Women's Lawyers Association. So, like, for example, in 2021, there have been joint works to produce manifestos so that the issue of women's, like the asks of women's across sectors were produced and been popularized. We were jointly assigning observers, and EWDNA also have been given the chance to assign 15 women with disability as observers, and we also produce a joint study on GBV on election. And the other thing is we're iterating with community leaders, since I have been saying that participation and leadership could start from at household level. So a woman who couldn't decide in her life could not be in the public sphere. So participation and the decision starts from at home. So we give intensive capacity building trainings for our members in life skill training, so that they can make decisions at our home. Okay. For example, some of our members couldn't make decision to take contraceptive. These decisions could not be made, by somebody else, or they need to have a power on that. So we try to empower women with disabilities to make decisions in their own life, and also create the space to make participation in the community. Like, we work with community leaders on increasing their understanding about disability and women, and also make sure that they have a space for women in leadership within the community organizations. These are all. And if you have questions, you can.
Questions for Fikite? Once you finish with the mic, please pass it on.
My Mine is not a question, it's a comment. I really loved the peer-to-peer learning approach during coffee sessions. So maybe I'll side chat you for lessons. Thank you. Nice approach.
Oh, now I feel bad because mine is also a comment, not a question. But I just thought it was really interesting, the take on leadership in the personal and how that links to what we were talking about yesterday, how the personal is political and how in order to get like political leadership, you start by just getting leadership in your day-to-day and in your community. So I think, yeah, I think that's a great approach and like very grounded in the reality of the communities you are working in. So just wanted to say that is great.
Okay. I think this is the last presentation. It's good to be the last person because everybody has already got a lot and is just being like fed up. So there will be no more questions. I'm joking. Just to make you alert. So Siiqqee Women's Development Association is a women rights organization working at a regional level. Even though our office is based in Addis, we don't work at the national level. So most of our activities are, and our target groups are in the region. So my presentation will be, or the strategy will be based on the regional focused on the regional activities or strategies that we are going to use to mobilize women for election. So SWDA works with 4,000 factory workers in peer-to-peer discussion to raise their awareness on their human rights. So this is a very good platform for us because these women come from rural areas and also work in the factories. So they are in the urban, kind of urban setting. So, and they have a weekly or monthly peer-to-peer discussion where they discuss about their human rights. So our this is a very good platform to carry on. And secondly, we have also targeted 1,000 women internally displaced people, and then they are economically empowered and engaging in women movement. SWDA also works with women rights organizations and women activists to promote women and human rights to end gender-based violence. We also work with cultural leaders like Siiqqee. Siiqqee is a symbol of peace, reconciliation, mediation, and giving women safe space and symbol of power. So Siikkees are very strong in the community in negotiating peace, bringing mediations and the like. So we also work with them. We work with religious and traditional opinion leaders and gatekeepers of culture. I'm just mentioning the platforms and then go to the strategy. So we have also a male engagement to address 15,000 boys and male to combat sexual and gender-based violence. And these are the monthly meetings like a community conversation session, just discussing on issues of social issues. We also have targeted schools, and from the government structure, we work strongly with Women and Children Affairs Office, Labor and Social Affairs Office, and different sector offices, and they are also our targets. And we have intervention with duty bearers like police, attorney, court, councils, and elected women in the region, in the Oromia region. The reason we work with the duty bearers is just to enforce law and also to safeguard any kind of intervention regarding, including the election process. So our strategy will be using those platforms. For example, the peer-to-peer discussions, the 4,000 female coming together will be enabled to challenge the parties. Issue of women, how much the issue of women is reflected in their agenda, and also how many female candidates they have. So our next target will be, or strategy will be, awareness raising on the election process, what they should demand, how they should evaluate the agendas of the political parties coming to their area, and explaining their agenda for the community. So as a community members, they will have the chance and the skills to challenge the parties and to have the women on board. And the other strategy is awareness creation using radio and TV talk show. And we also use celebrities to talk about election and the role of women in politics and in the leadership position. So we also use this as a platform. We also contribute to create a conducive legal and policy framework for women's political participation with the duty bearers. As I've already said, like we have a platform with duty bearers. So we also use them to see their policies and the frameworks for women political participation. And also we provide technical assistance and advisory service to regional bodies and other key governance and electoral stakeholders to develop policy framework that promotes gender balance in the political sphere. We also support capacity building of regional civil society organizations and regional bodies on election. We collaborate with all civil society organizations. We have EWDNA as a consortium member. We have Ethiopian Women Lawyers Association. We have Network of Ethiopian Women Association. And we have also different women rights organizations that we collaborate with to enhance the participation of women in the political leadership. We also organize regional training of trainers for women's political empowerment. We have an activity in the 5th year that, but it is a very limited budget. Maybe we'll increase the budget to include the training of trainers for women's political empowerment, supporting program development, implementation, and providing advisory services on advocacy campaign and other initiatives. This is what we are going to do as a strategy. So these are our beautiful Siiqqee women, and with their sticks as a power. So this is a very important tool for women. So just using women with this stick, with this symbol, will initiate women to come to the leadership position. So as our name is Siiqqee Women's Development Association, we use that name and also the culturally embodied women's power to advocate for women to participate in the leadership in the upcoming political election. So thank you. This is what I have. I have Zertihon and Fikadu with me to add any point I missed before Maureen gives floor to the questions.
Actually, I think Galalcha has raised all the points that the strategy we use maybe to enhance women's participation in leadership and in politics. Maybe we are getting prepared for the coming election, and we have taken the comment from Maureen regarding the engagement with male engagement and the peer-to-peer discussion. So also we are using this capacity building for female leaders to actively engage and also motivate maybe other female in the community to just take part. So for this, we are providing a series of trainings, especially on the women rights issues and the policies, and also the movement building management and election campaign also we are providing. And also we have this experience sharing in the project, awesome project implementation side, to just share how they overcome the challenge in relation to coming to leadership. We have mentioned a lot of challenges are there. So we have also a monthly and also sometimes these quarterly meetings of these elected women leaders and council members to have this experience sharing on how to just overcome challenge in relation to coming to leadership for women. So these are the points.
I have a question, Galalcha. So in one of the things, in one of your slides, there was the fact that you work with IDPs, and I just wanted to know how, because they're a very transitory group, or whether because of the protracted conflict in Ethiopia, the IDPs have kind of stayed where they are at the moment, or during the course of AWESOME.
Yeah, these are the IDPs who were displaced from the Somali region during the Somali and Oromo conflict, and they were brought to shelters in camps, different camps. Now they are sedentary, now they are not moving. They move back to back home. Actually, when it comes to the IDPs, these people lose all their networks, their resources, their inheritance, and everything. So they don't have anything to look back. So now they have already settled in two of our target areas, the Sabbata area and the Galan area. So they have already established their life and doing business. There are a lot of them, but out of them we've targeted only 1,000, and they are really economically empowered and doing different businesses. Zertun had pictures of women with sheep, goat rearing, and also they have also established a grinding mill in a group and doing a lot of businesses. So now these are the Muslim women where the culturally husbands can marry up to 5 wives. But after they came to this location, it could be economic reason, it could be awareness raising, it could be the culture they have now come to adopt with other communities who have only engaged with one wife. And also we have also contributed by awareness raising. Most of them have now resisted this polygamy. And they are really active during the March 8th celebration, during the 16 days activism. They engage in different social engagements and with other women. And they, by nature, they are very open, they vocal. And so this is how we can use them to engage in mobilization, and particularly in election process.
Just to add more about these people, displaced people from Somalia region. You know, when they came to where they are now, they were empty-handed. They have nothing except children, small children, many children with them. But after they got here, of course, the government gave them shelter, but just empty shelter. But thanks to AWESOME program, we got seed money for these women. And what I observed, personally, what I observed is economic empowerment is very important, really. Without economic empowerment, you could not talk about right. So these women now, empowered, they have sheep, goats, shops with the money provided to them. They started a small business. Now they come together. The solidarity is strengthened. They talk about right now. They talk about election even. For the coming election, I hope they will be part of it fully. So economic empowerment is very important for women. Even, as he said, the husbands have 3-4 wives before. But this time, she has her own economy, income. Then she can challenge him and stand for her right. So thank you for AWESOME for being flexible and provide the seed money for these 1,000 women.
If you allow me, let me talk about the challenges we have with MFA and economic empowerment.
Is that annual meeting or is that for now?
Just 2 minutes. The reason we had a number of service provisions in our project, and during the appraisal, when Katie was interim program manager, most of them were cancelled. Talking about right begins from the economic empowerment. Now, we work with factory workers and we create the demand to report abuses and sexual assaults. In order to do that, the women need guarantee. These women are very low paid, and they work overtime. They have no choice except working in shift. Maybe their shift ends in the midnight, and they have to come to their houses, home. No services. They use their own public transport. Even if the transport, the factory transport brings them, it will drop them on the middle of the road, and because of the living conditions, they look for cheap houses somewhere, not straight on the road. So they are exposed to so many differences in and out. So when we started the advocacy that ensuring their rights, that they have the right to report, most of them said, if I report, I will be expelled, and I have nothing to depend on, even until justice is served. And since ILO 90 is not enforced and the government did not ratify, they have no right. The government is also not protecting them because the factory workers the factory owners most of them are the expats, the external people. So there was, what we learned is they know their right, but they cannot claim it due to fear. So I think if AWESOME continues second phase, I think the economic empowerment should be one of the core activities to do the advocacy work. This is just what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Galalcha. Yeah, I don't know about phase 2 of AWESOME. I haven't heard anything within the organization yet, but we'll make inquiries. Yeah, I think donor funding, what can I say? There's a lot that can be said. I think since I've been on AWESOME, I have fought for a lot of Siiqqee service provision, and we've got some through, but there's, I think, when we had